group that knows character is not something you display, it's something you live. A group that believes scholarship isn't just grades, it's about effort and understanding. My hope is that you carry this responsibility with pride, but also with humility. Use your gifts with those around you. Lead in ways that may never be seen, but always be felt. Because that is what the National Honor Society truly represents. Not the work that is noticed, but the work that truly matters. As we move into the rest of today's ceremony, we will hear from four members of the National Honor Society who will share their wisdom on each of these NHS pillars with our newest members. After they speak, each member will light a candle on stage. These candles represent the four pillars of the NHS, and after all four pillars are lit, we will be ready to formally induct our newest members. First, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Kevin McLaughlin. Kevin is a captain of our robotics team, a member of our forensics team, and a player on our track and rugby team. As his teacher, Mr. Campbell, says, Kevin exemplifies the qualities of a true knight, prioritizing the well-being of others and consistently demonstrating integrity while pretending not to be someone he is not. Please welcome Kevin.
Scholarship isn't just about getting A's and B's in class. It's not scoring well on the test or chasing the highest grade. That's what most people think it is, but most people are wrong. It's easy to chase an A, but it's infinitely harder to chase understanding. Real scholarship, it's truly understanding what you learn, not just memorizing it, but knowing it conceptually, being able to apply it to anything, on a test, a word problem, or in the real world. It's seeing how what you learn connects on a much broader scale. And more importantly, it's asking one simple question. Why? Why does this work? Why does this matter? You and I can memorize the quadratic formula. We can say this works, we can move on. A scholar doesn't stop there. A scholar stops to ask why. A scholar works it out. He keeps asking questions until it actually makes sense. A scholar needs to go deeper. When you start asking why, you start creating. You create ideas, you create understanding. You can create new ways of thinking. But when you create, you inevitably fail. We're human. We are going to fail. It's a part of life. I started finding my love of learning and scholarship towards the beginning of COVID. Like many of my other hobbies and interests that I've picked up over the years, this one started on YouTube. And I was scrolling one day and I came across a video titled, "Watch Me Make a Railgun." I clicked on it and was absorbed. So I figured if he could do it, make something so cool, then so could I. The only thing really setting us apart was age and a master's in electrical engineering, but that's irrelevant. In the coming days, I foraged around my house for parts. I grabbed a roll of tinfoil, a pipe, a car battery that we had laying around in our basement. I tinkered and I put everything into place. It was an awesome feeling. And everything was good. I was Tony Stark. So I placed the cables on the battery's electrodes. I clamped them on the foil and I laid them on the ground. It was there, it looked awesome, and it was perfect. So I put the pipe down, I turned around to grab my phone and record it, and then I started hearing popping. I turned around and I saw my dad's yoga mat, which I was using as an insulator on the floor, on fire. I turned around, I panicked. Luckily it was winter because I dragged it outside and was able to smother the flames. I looked at the melted mat and realized it had shorted out. In short, my railgun failed. And that failure felt terrible. But it was necessary. Because that failure led to iteration. I was bitten by the bug of curiosity, and I wanted that feeling again. I wanted to be Tony Stark, if just for a moment. So I studied as much as I could. That failure led to version 1, 2, 3, and eventually a working, mostly safe version. And that's what growth is. Scholarship is losing, failing, and falling, but losing and failing and falling forward. It's taking a look at where you are and saying, I'm not going to give up. No matter how small the margin, I will improve. Now think about this. Most of what we do in school has a finish line. A test, a deadline, a grade. But what happens when you take that away? Now imagine a runner. The gun goes off, he sprints and he runs towards the finish line and say he even wins. He was the best person in that competition. But what if there was no finish line? How far could he have gone? How great could he have been? That's what scholarship is. Because when there's no grade, no deadline, no reward, just you and the problem, that is where real learning happens. That is when you find out how far you're actually going to go. Real scholarship is what you do when no one is telling you to do it. Because scholarship can't be forced. It's a choice that you have to make. And that choice changes everything. When you make that choice, scholarship becomes a part of who you are. So don't treat scholarship like a finish line. It isn't the end. It's actually the beginning. From here, it is your responsibility to keep going, to stay curious, to keep learning, creating, failing, and falling, and growing. Because true scholarship never ends. It's something that you live. It all starts with one very simple question. Why? Thank you.
Good morning. I am NHS Secretary Andrew McDonald, and I'd like to thank Kevin Wire and introduce Junior Michael Hall. Michael is a leader in the conversations that matter, a member of our football and track teams, speech and debate team, and a peer mentor. CM teacher Mr. Ford, who traveled on the Mercy DC trip with Michael, said that Michael is an intelligent and hardworking student who arrives to class each day with enthusiasm and serves as a strong leader within the school community. Welcome, Michael.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael. I'm a junior and a new member of the National Honor Society. I am incredibly honored to speak, and even more honored to be asked to speak today about leadership. Leadership to me simply means showing up. It sounds simple, but I believe showing up is the best and most prevalent quality in a leader. I believe this because a leader is not someone who's in charge, but rather someone with the courage to show up even when they don't want to. When people are thinking of quitting, leaders will keep showing up and influencing everyone around them. Leadership is being able to be for all others to follow. Leadership must include three qualities: courage, persistence, and passion. Courage is the first and most common, as leadership requires the courage to stand up and be led to all. Next is persistence. Persistence creates progress. It moves forward even when it seems like nothing is moving at all. When one person persistently shows up, others will follow. And by showing up, we push through adversity. Finally, compassion. Compassion is the willing to recognize another person's struggle, then be willing to help that person. This is the hardest. It's easier to push yourself than to push someone else. It's easy to ignore the needs of the people around you in order to focus on yourself. But that's why compassion is the most important trait of a leader. Compassion is not an action. Compassion is a mindset built around helping others. In life, seeing someone with all three of these qualities is very rare. But having all three makes someone a true leader. Any person can yell out orders, tell people what to do, but to help, to guide, to stand up for others is truly something special. So, what true leaders do I look up to? I've been lucky enough to model myself after a few great leaders, the first of which is Christ. Just think, when Christ was at the Last Supper, he knew what was going to happen. He had the choice to go to the street and crucify, but instead, he had the courage to stay. Persistence to stay through the sufferings. He had the compassion God first. I believe that Christ is the best example of leadership anyone could ever hope to emulate. Compassion is something Christ lived in. He pushed for all of us to love one another. And he had the courage to stand up to the powers of his time to change long-standing traditions of the world. And he had the persistence to deal with all the hate from the Caesars and the Romans. But true leaders didn't die out 2 millennia ago. My father is another true leader. As a former member of the Massachusetts State Police, his job is to lead and protect others. He has the courage to stand up and protect all around him. He has the persistence to stay through.
I just don't know which one he is because
He has
it's
the
anything now.
to show love.
Recording its own audio. Now we can't turn it back on.
Every day presents a choice. Will you be a leader? Choosing to be a leader doesn't mean choosing to be the captain of the football team, or the president of the National Honor Society. Those are noble aspirations. Choosing to be a leader means choosing a mindset. Mindset of courage, persistence, and passion. The choice is whether you will stand up to adversity. The choice is whether you will keep pushing forward or give up. The choice is whether you will love or whether you will shut out others and only focus on yourself. By choosing to be a leader, you will find not only a way to gain respect or a way to help others, but also a way to live. It's not an easy way to live, but it is the best way in which you can help all those around us. By living up to Christ's call.
One more thing I can
So
try.
in closing, leadership is not about having power or a title or the ability to boss others around. Leadership is about who we choose to be. When we choose to be courageous, persistent, and compassionate, we don't just become leaders and contributors to our societies, but we embody character and leadership. So, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next, I'm going to welcome Senior Connor Clifford. Cliffy is our senior class president, as well as a member of our varsity golf team, a speech and debate member, a peer minister, and a member of the CM Cooking Club. As his science teacher, Mr. Feltham says, Cliffy brings a genuine positivity to class each day, carrying himself with a constant smile and an energy that lifts the room around him. Even as a second semester senior, he still shows a real spark for knowledge by frequently asking thoughtful questions. Cliffy, welcome to the stage. Character. It's a word we hear all the time here at CM. Character matters. Coaches talk about it, teachers talk about it, and also parents. Colleges are going to ask you about who you are, how you carry yourself. But for most of us, at this stage in our lives, character feels like something abstract. It feels like a definition in a textbook. But now, as a senior in high school, character stops being an idea and starts becoming a choice that's made every single day. Because now is when the training wheels come on. For me, next year at college, no one is going to remind me to do my homework, to be on time, to do the right thing when no one's watching. We're stepping into a world that doesn't just grade our effort and hand out participation trophies or awards for just showing up, but they judge our results, decisions, and our integrity. Character is what you do when there's no reward. It's what you do when there's no punishment. Character is who you are when no one's keeping score. It's easy to have good, strong character when things are going well. When you win that game, you get that grade on the paper that you worked so hard for 3 weeks, and that's an A. When the friend group is solid, when life is feeling comfortable. But real character shows up when things go wrong. When you lose, when you fail, when you're embarrassed and feel like quitting. Anyone can look strong in the sunshine. Character is proven throughout the storm. The choice to be honest when lying is easier. To work harder when no one forces you. The choice to stand up for someone when staying quiet would be safer. To take responsibility instead of making excuses. Some of you right now are probably thinking, sure, Cliffy, this sounds pretty great in theory, but still pretty abstract. So I'd like to tell you a story in which I believe I thought character played a small but significant role in my life. This past summer, I was playing in a golf tournament and was even par going into the 15th hole. I get up to the tee and send my drive way to the left. Just as I was about to swing, a car blazed right on their horn. If anyone's ever played President's Golf Course, hole 15, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The guys in my group told me to take a mulligan because of what happened. I said no, re-teed and hit my third shot, and it worked out all right. Once we had finished the hole, my playing partner asked what I got. Pulled a double bogey because I had to re-tee. I was now tied at 2 over par with some other kid in our group. On the next hole, the kid I was tied with sent his ball right to the street. He
He didn't try to shave off his throat or just drop the ball where he thought it went out. He really teased and hits his third. He's now one shot behind me, and I ended up parring out and shooting 2 over 72, while the kid I was tied with shot 3 over 73. Now, I did end up winning that tournament outright, but this win felt even better because I had won fair and square. If I had cheated and taken that mulligan to make sure I won that tournament, I would have had to have lived with the fact that I won because I cheated. In the game of golf, being known as a cheater is one of the worst ways to lose respect from others. So, what's the moral of this little anecdote I'm telling you guys? You need to be honest with yourself and others, because when you cheat and lie, you're only building bad habits and making decisions that can and will affect you in the long run. And here's another thing about character that no one tells you. It's not about being perfect. You will mess up, you will say the wrong thing, you'll make bad decisions, you might hurt people, disappoint them, and end up disappointing yourself. Character isn't about never failing. It's about refusing to give up and not throwing in the towel. In the digital world that we live in today, we can get sucked into reality that has no benefit to us except a miniature spike in our dopamine levels from news. We live in a world obsessed with our image through likes, followers, highlights, and our reputation. It's easy to focus on how we look instead of who we are. Your character is who you actually are, and in the long run, a good and strong character always wins. While talent might open doors, charm will get you attention, luck will give you opportunities, character is what eventually keeps you in that run. It's what makes people believe and trust in you. It's what makes people want to stand by your side when things are getting hard. We can choose to be the kind of men who make life better for people around us. Because one day, the grades, trophies, and titles won't matter as much as the question everybody asks themselves eventually. Did I become a good man? Am I a good person? Character is how we make sure that answer is always yes.
Thank you, Cliffy. Next up, I'm going to introduce Junior John Toby. John is a member of our speech and debate program, student council, scholars, peer ministry program. As Mr. McFadden said, John is a true servant leader, whether in the classroom, through peer ministry, or on a service trip with his church to the south this past summer. John consistently puts others before himself. He allows himself to be guided by Christ to help his neighbor. John, welcome to the stage.
Good morning. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina struck the Gulf Coast, destroying homes and people's lives. Building hotels and homes took years, while their destruction took days. Last year, when my local parish organized a mission trip to Gulfport, Mississippi, my mom asked me if I was passionate about participating in this trip, emphasizing it was going to be unlike anything I had ever done. Without hesitation, I told her I was sure. That July, I traveled with my local parish to Mississippi to fulfill my call to service. Through the 7 days I would be there, I would play a role in the local communities who were slowly recovering from the wreckage Katrina left behind. Most of the time, we were doing small projects. Spent one morning cleaning up a cemetery overgrown with leaves, making it look clean to help remember the names of the people who were lost. One day, we were painting a children's classroom at a parish comprised of elderly parishioners, helping to encourage the education of Christ's teachings. The largest hill to climb was the wildlife rescue. We worked with a woman named Paula and her daughter, Raquel. Paula maintained the wildlife rescue and was always on call for animals, leaving us the opportunity to help her. We spent all day outside building walls, cutting wood, and constructing the roof of a 2-story owl. The work was not simple. It was strenuous, exhausting, and worse, hot. Each day was roughly 100 degrees, with humidity at its peak. The blazing sun on our necks and backs left burns and dizziness. People were tired and dehydration was persistent, but we pushed ahead. Although we only had 1 week, we were able to fix up 2 enclosures and completely build a new one. When we left the site for the last time, Paula was beyond grateful. She told us that their construction would take years, but we completed it in days. It felt good to know that despite the challenging conditions, we had changed their lives for the better. That trip to Mississippi was life-changing. It was not a vacation, but it was also not a sacrifice. It was a chance to let people know that there is good. From there, that call to Christ was far from done. I have lived out to call to service in smaller ways at home since that trip. I took time at my local senior center to help in cleaning clutter and providing technology support to the elderly. I taught them skills such as printing from a phone and taking a screenshot. It also led me to become an altar server at my parish, where I continue to serve by week. Service means starting a string of dominoes, so that one act of service is fulfilled, more begin to develop. When I completed the mission trip, I felt I wanted to accomplish more in serving others. This sense of doing more was also mirrored by other kids from our trip, who also became altar servers after. When you do an act of service, it isn't a one-time deal. It's a start. Catholic Memorial constantly strives for their students to embrace the call of service and fulfill its values. While some may view service only as a requirement for their school year, that's only the tip of the iceberg. Service is not to complete hours, but to help bring the light of Christ to a world filled with darkness. It means engaging and changing the lives of others and bringing a smile to their face. Knowing that you made a difference in someone else's life brings joy that nothing else can. So service is truly the pursuit of happiness for you and for the world. Thank you.
Kevin, Michael, Cliffy, and John, thank you for your inspiring work. And now I'd like to invite all NHS members to stand and prepare to publicly share our commitment to these same ideals of scholarship, leadership, character, and service. At this time, I will ask NHS Vice President Stu Roberto and Elias Mansour and NHS Secretary Andrew McDonald to please begin the candle lighting. The National Honor Society symbol is a torch, which represents the eternal light of truth. At this time, all National Honor Society members light a candle, passing the flame from one member to the other. In doing so, the members symbolically show their own commitment to the pillars of the National Honor Society and their commitment to supporting each other in their search for the eternal truth. New and returning members of NHS, please recite with me the NHS pledge, which is also displayed on the board to see. I pledge myself always to seek the truth, with all scholarly acts, to engage in worthy service, to lead forward in all things that shall advance the goals of God. Congratulations, members, you may blow out your candles, and everyone may be safe.
My name is Elias Mansour, and I'm the Vice President of the NHS. It is with great pleasure that I ask the following new members to come forward to receive their certificate as a symbol of their commitment to the ideals of NHS. Will Principal Corso and Mr. Sarko please step forward to help with the distribution of all certificates? Students and parents, please withhold your applause until all of the students have received recognition, and then collectively we will applaud all of our new members. Our new senior members, Elias Audi, Kevin McGuire, David Marino, Russell Mather, Kevin Mills,
Aaron Nelson, John Norton, Quinn Richter, Christian Smith, Edward Minkowski, and Caleb Wells. Our new junior members, Davion Adediran, Daniel Albright, Daniel Antonellis, Kyle Longet, Jameson Brooker, Alessandro Castellini, Peter Holman, Bryce Concepcion, Ryder Davies Jr., Kyle Tolliver, Brian Doyle, Brian Duffy, Owen Duffy, Owen Flaherty, Owen Garvey, David Deline, John Gooden, Charles Habermas, Michael Holland, Shane Burton, Jude Khalifa, Daniel Khalifa, Benjamin Cross, John Boyka, Garvin Linehan, David Lawson, Thomas Tony, Rob Mandiaitis, John Herrera, Donald McGurk, Michael Melvin, Timothy Ryan, Joseph Saborn, Luke Holt, Luke Sherwood, Jelani Semper, Timothy Paul, Thomas Tessier, John Tobin, Marcus Tobin, Charles Dodd, Owen Vieira, and Connor Black. Congratulations to all of our new members.
My name is Luke Roberta, and as Vice President of the NHS, it is my pleasure to recognize the returning members of the NHS for their work in the organization over the past year and a half. When I call your name, please stand at your seat, and would you please hold your applause until the end. William Berlucci, Wesley Cherry, Connor Clifford, Jack Dunning, Brian Gooden, Seamus Henry, Parker Kemp, William Lightfoot, William Link V, Andrew McDonald, Elias Mansour, Jai Mareshi, Arson McCarthy, Seamus Olahan, Liam Romano, Thomas Sara, Andrew Savage, Seamus Scamby, Andrew Schwartz, Matthew Small, Andrew Spagnola, Charles Sand, Jason Sullivan, Michael Upton, David Badnag, Kylie Williams, and Brian Kukic.
Induction Ceremony, the national honor student. Ask one faculty or staff member to speak about what excellence means to them. This year's seniors asked to hear from our newest guidance counselor, Mr. Harrison Depew. After growing up in Connecticut, Mr. Depew graduated from the University of Delaware and worked at the nonprofit Reach Western Connecticut before attending graduate school at Boston College. Here in Seattle, he works in the guidance office. As Mr. O'Keefe says, Harry Depew has made an immediate impact at Captain Memorial since joining our community. I can think of nobody better to share a message of academic resilience, the pursuit of intrinsic excellence, and the service leadership mindset than Mr. Depew. Please welcome this year's guest speaker.
Morning, everyone. Morning. So first and foremost, I'd like to congratulate all of the wonderful students and their families who are here to celebrate today. We've worked extremely hard to achieve this feat, inside and outside of the classroom. It's your work ethic and motivation that challenges us as a school to grow and to continue identifying the best ways to teach, the best ways for students to learn. So thank you for putting your all into everything you do. And thank you for asking me to share my thoughts on what excellence means to me. I find it fitting that I'm sharing these remarks after my own guidance counselors once said, let's focus on other things. When my mom asked if I could get into NHS, you only see me. Over the years, I've had an interesting relationship with the concept of excellence. When I was younger, I thought excellence meant getting a high-paying job, or living in a big house, or winning every game you play, or outcompeting those around you. I fell victim to the idea that excellence could only be obtained at the expense of others. In high school, I achieved what I thought was excellence. I was the captain of the basketball team, a nightly double-double threat. But I was involved in Best Buddies and other mentorship programs. I had lots of friends and got into a great college. However, I did all of this to prove my worth to others, to fill a void I had. On the outside, I was succeeding. On the inside, I was anxious, scared, and I felt alone. In college, I did well academically and socially, but the anxiety I felt in high school continued to grow. My senior year, I began self-medicating more and more to feel better. That plan didn't last, and in the fall of my senior year, I moved home to finish school online. I was broken. Everything I had worked so hard for, my friends, my schooling, my life, had come crumbling down. I was at a turning point. I was at rock bottom. I knew, sitting in my parents' house at 22, yes, my mom likes to remind me that was a dream of mine growing up, that something needed to change. So I started over. I leaned into that humbling moment and began to ask for help. I relied on my family and friends for support, and I was honest about how I was feeling. Over time, I gained more responsibility. 4 hours of part-time work became 8, then 20, and eventually a full-time job as a program director at a nonprofit. Over time, the love others had for me helped me to learn to love myself. Upon reflecting years later, I realized that what got me through the toughest moment of my life wasn't the big accolades or the events I used to chase. The small, everyday interactions with the people I cared about. It was the split-second feeling in the morning that today could be better than yesterday. Those moments were my glimmers of hope. Over time, they became my definition of excellence. In my work as a counselor at CM, I interact with so many students each day. From a fist bump in the hallway to a period-long conversation. I know some of you really well, and others I'm just starting to get to know. But these relationships didn't become meaningful overnight. They were built in small, consistent moments of showing up. Smiles and quick hellos have grown into transformative relationships. To me, excellence isn't a trophy, a title, or even a comparison. It's the way you show up in these small moments, especially when no one is watching. When I'm sitting in my office at the end of a long day, it isn't the big events in the calendar that motivate me. It's the student who stops by for 2 daily shots in the mini hoop. It's the bees shout out in the lobby. It's hitting a tasteful 6-7. In the hallway to set the tone. That's excellence. The students being inducted here today understand this, or they're learning it. It took me 22 years to humble myself enough to realize it. I'm so grateful that it did. It took being where I was to become who I am today. And I wouldn't trade that journey for anything. We're all humble, respectful, and service-minded. I believe you're going to do great things in this world. To close, I'll leave you with some advice and a story. Please continue to see the value in the small, everyday moments so often take for granted, and the relationships that grow from them. You never know where one might lead. Last week, on the Bercy trip to Peru, boys built a house for a family in need. Despite not speaking any Spanish, they formed a deep bond with the family's youngest son, Sandro. Over just a few days, they played soccer, broke bread, and laughed through gestures in broken Spanish. On Thursday, they met, and on Saturday, they were in tears saying goodbye. No shared language, just a connection. Those small moments built a bond no words could explain. To me, that is excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DePue, for sharing your story and your message with all of us today. We are now ready to conclude this year's National Honor Society Induction Ceremony. Before we leave, I want to take a few moments to thank everyone who helped make today's ceremony possible. As co-moderators of the National Honor Society, Mr. Sarko and I owe a debt of gratitude to our faculty selection committee, who puts in so much time and effort to reading the NHS applications. To our CM staff in the front office, IT, and facilities who helped set up the many logistics for today's event. To Dr. Monroe, who kindly provided our musical accompaniments today. And to the students and families being honored this morning. To our newest members, congratulations. To the rest of the CM community, thank you for your attention and respect during today's ceremony. Throughout today's ceremony, we heard about the importance of showing up, about the importance of small moments, about the importance of the choices that you make day in and day out that impact the person you will become. I hope that your classmates' inspiring messages resonate with you in the days and weeks to come. In just a moment, the NHS students will recess out, and Mr. Durazo and Dr. Corso will dismiss the rest of the student body. Parents, after the rest of the student body returns to class, the NHS members will return to the gymnasium and be available for photos. With this, I ask, live Jesus in our hearts forever.
Please have your attention.